Welcome back to Sunday League Pundits presented by Betway. I'm your host, Woz, joined by my co-host, Brett Holden. How we doing, Brett? How we feeling? There's no camera on you if you're watching on video.
Yeah, I guess I should probably say that too. Yeah, I moved and I can't find the cable that connects to my camera.
Well,
So,
to be fair, we actually moved away from the Sunday League Pundits 90th minute studio that we had for about a year, 2 years almost. It
yeah.
was just time to move on, right? That's life. We decided it was probably best. It wasn't, everybody's been so busy. It wasn't really being used to its fullest capabilities. So we thought, we can do a lot of things online nowadays, and that's kind of how the 90th minute originally took off, was over, Discord and Zoom and all that. So kind of going back to the small roots, and a lot of podcasts nowadays still do shows over Zoom and whatnot.
Yeah, we still have access to other places as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and plus we have our I'm so pumped for our next career mode as well that'll be coming out. So,
Mm-hmm.
that we will be working on coming up this week too. So, yeah, it'll be fun. But let's move into club football. And while I was looking through today, we have a lot to talk about. We already talked about some of the changes, but in the world of club football, we're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about the storylines of the Premier League this season. We were looking through the table today, and we're going, the amount of storylines and things that have happened just this season. Was I have a scenario for you that's going to blow your mind that
Okay.
happened this season in a second. So we'll talk about that. You also have a pretty interesting debate coming up about players and potential flops from
Mm-hmm.
the past. So we're going to talk about that. And as mentioned, our Sunday League is starting up this year or this week, or well, coming week as well. But hopefully, we're going to get a practice in there. But let's get into enough waffling. Yes, I was looking through the Premier League table today, and looking at the table, there is drama at the bottom of the table. There's drama at the top of the table. The amount of things that have happened in the middle of the table have been outstanding throughout the Premier League. But what if I reminded you of a time where Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel went and shook hands after a game and started going at it in between the benches after the game and like starting a scrum? Do you remember that
Yeah,
situation?
I mean, it's been nearly a year ago, right? We're coming up. Was that
That
in
was this
August?
season. That was this season. That was the start of this season. Was
Jesus, it feels like we've been through so much. I mean, if you think about it, the World Cup felt like its own timeline, right? Like it was like we the Champions League. It's oh geez, like I remember all the hoopla about that, and at the time you would think maybe Chelsea or Tottenham would be in a top four race right now or fighting for a title, and that's not been the case.
Yeah, so and that was some of the things that I was going to mention. So, like I said,
I don't
the
think at
top.
the I don't think at the time anyone really anticipated either manager to be sacked.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. I think I had Tottenham in my top four this year. Well, I mean, there's still a potential. Well, yeah, maybe not anymore after that United game, but they did draw them. But either way, what I'm trying to say is there is drama at the top of the table with Arsenal eventually bottling it, which I have said from the start was going to happen. I want to go back. I'm going to go back and clip it and make sure everybody knows that I said Arsenal was fragile and going to bottle it. But either way, it still happened to City. But you know what is more interesting to me is the relegation battle. Also, what I called from the start of the season was clip it, sir. Leicester City is in a relegation battle and is currently tied
Yeah.
on points with Leeds and Nottingham Forest and Everton, who did draw Leicester recently. I believe that happened today after I watched it. I certainly watched Leicester. Either way, I will get back to that after my rant. Leicester City is in front of Everton by 1 point. They're in a relegation battle. They could go down as well. This is a crazy season with the amount of things that have been going on. What really points or what really stands out to you right now? And then I want to talk about Leicester City and Nottingham Forest.
I think what stands out to me is Nottingham Forest are currently 18th in the Premier League after they signed probably 18 players in the summer. They spent so much money, signed every player they could find to try and bolster their side for the Premier League, and they're looking like they're going back to the championship. They're currently with 30 points, Everton 29, Southampton 20, and also to see Everton 19th. That's
Yeah.
a team that's been in the Premier League for X amount of years, as long as I've been watching football. Both Everton and I think Southampton have been in the Premier League. It feels like we're going into a new era of Premier League football if those two are going down, right? It's you know over the years it kind of goes like you'll have a team that's been in the Premier League for years, eventually go down, and you also have a team from the Championship come up and find their way, like Brighton, for example, even Fulham. Fulham, some people thought they weren't going to do much at all this year, and look at them, they're 10th, they're mid-table, good for them. So I think every team right now in the relegation spot is kind of surprising, except for maybe Southampton, and for your sake and Liam's sake, Leicester.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that insane? Because again, we have talked about this over and over and over again. But if they go down, who on Leicester City? Oh, by the way, I did want to mention Everton did draw Leicester City on Monday, and then on Tuesday last week, Leeds drew them 1-1 as well. So that was where I was getting confused. But as we were mentioning with Leicester City, when they go down, and yes, I said when they go down, who is going to be on this squad? Because there is
Hmm.
nobody who is going to want to play for Leicester City if they go down. It is absolutely beneficial for them to be able to stay up, or they will have next to no team at all. Jamie Vardy will be the only one who stays only because he signed the contract. Soyuncu already agreed to a contract with Atletico Madrid. The amount of players that they also Yuri Tielemans is gone. James Madison is gone. Harvey Barnes is gone. Wilfred Ndidi is gone. Everybody is gone. Everybody is gone. Inacho, Daka, all of them are gone,
Yeah. I'm
and they
looking.
still need to find a keeper.
I'm looking at the squad. I think probably the one player you could probably see staying is like the likes of Danny Ward, who's 29. He's worth 8 million. Um,
Yeah.
Soyuncu's gone. I'm pretty sure. I think he.
Yeah, he signed a contract
Yeah.
already with Atletico Madrid.
Maybe I don't know. Timothy Castagna maybe could stay.
Maybe
I don't know. Like there's Harvey Barnes. Probably like, a
gone,
lot of these players are gone. I'm sorry.
gone.
There's no player that you can say every player on Leicester except for Danny Ward will likely be up for sale.
Yes.
There will be a suitor for every player on Leicester right now. Someone will come flocking and they'll accept bids, right? Because they're gonna need money. They're gonna have to rebuild somehow and find a way to claw back into the Premier League because it's not gonna be easy. The championship's very competitive.
Yeah.
And continue.
And the only reason Danny Ward stays on this team is because he's the most championship player on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at transfer market right now. He's valued at 8 million euros or pounds. So take it as you will.
Yeah.
There's a few players in that Leicester City squad that are worth 30 million, 20 million, and do you really want to keep those players while you're in the championship? I mean, unless some of these players are committed to bringing the club back, maybe they want to fight to come back to the Premier League, but the championship's grueling, man. It's like a 48, 42 game race.
Yeah.
It's we talk about like the amount of matches in the Premier League because of the Champions League and fixture congestion. Look at the championship, man. It's
Dude,
wild.
I'm looking at the championship right now because you mentioned you were talking about like who's going to be coming up. Burnley's going to be coming up. I believe I was just looking at it as well. I believe it was Middlesbrough, who is also coming up. Sorry, they're in the championship. Sheffield United is coming up. Middlesbrough's in the playoff. Luton Town is in the playoff, which
Mm-hmm.
you have seen their away end coming in, right? Have you seen that video?
I don't think so. Maybe.
So when you come into the away end at Luton Town's stadium,
Mm-hmm.
you walk through the backyards of people's houses.
Oh
That is
wow,
going to be in the Premier League, was
that's actually fantastic.
right? Like there are washing lines, like drying lines through the stairs of the stadium when you're walking in, just because it's in a housing area. It's insane. But I was looking at, because Sunderland's my squad. Sunderland has a game against one more game, because they play 46 matches, I believe, in the championship. They have one more game in the championship against Preston on Monday. And then they are 2 points away from being in the playoff behind Millwall. And Millwall plays against Blackburn Rovers on May 8th. They could make the playoff as well. But like you said, the championship is grueling. The championship is very grueling. And like Liam said, and I'm not saying that they could become the next Sunderland, but Sunderland saw a very, very ungraceful fall because a lot of people left after they went to the championship. Leicester City could face the same fate.
But I think Leicester have a slight advantage in that their players are actually valued something. I don't know how much that can really benefit the club. Like,
True.
if you look at a player like James Madison, what is he truly valued at? Because transfer market has him valued at 55 million. But like, I think a team that'll go after him is probably Manchester United. They could probably use a player like James Madison. But do you really want to pay for a player who's been kind of injury prone, and we haven't
Yeah.
really seen the best out of him in a few years? Like, how
Oh,
much is
Paul
James
Pogba, you
Madison?
mean?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how much
Mhm.
James Madison's really valued at. Is 55 million the right price tag?
God, no. Absolutely no. But I guess so. Yes, it is. I guess because of the market, but I wouldn't pay that. I would pay like 35 maybe.
Like,
But I
sorry,
understand why.
cut you off. Leicester City's market. So Leicester City's midfield market value right now is 173 million. Their defense is 161 million, and their attack is 98 million. I believe this is in pounds. No, this
Even
is
if they
euros. Euros.
even if they get between 91 to 120 of that value, they'd be able to get, well, not even if they're
Well,
able to get between 91 to
yeah,
even 110 mil, even 100, they're in good shape to get
but
back into the Premier League
also
next season.
you have to find ways to replace some of these players, right? You can't just offload,
Yeah,
and not have players to come back. Like,
100%.
also Ricardo Pereira, man, like that guy used to be one of the best fullbacks in the Premier League.
Yeah.
One injury, and now he's worth 12 million euros. Like, so Chu, I remember there was a time where he was hailed as one of the best defenders in the Premier League, and no one really
Yeah, and
talked.
then
Like,
he
I
got
remember,
absolutely victimized in the Euros, man.
yeah,
Turkey was this sleeping giant, and then he went into the Euros and just went.
yeah.
It was bad.
Remember 2020. So Chu named part of Premier League Team of the Year.
Dude, I hyped him up so hard too. That
Wow.
was so dumb.
And then, I mean, obviously he had an injury. And it just derails you, man. That's football.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and that was, I believe, it was an early season injury, if not like preseason injury, if I'm not
Jesus
mistaken.
Christ. Have you seen the 2020 Team of the Year? So the 2020 Premier League Team of the Year had Mane up front, Jamie Vardy, Aubameyang. In the midfield, you had, I'm pretty sure, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Henderson, Robertson in the back. So Yunchu, Van Dyke, Trent, and Nick Pope. So that was the year, obviously, Liverpool won that was the COVID year. They won it, and they had no fans there, and yeah, that was a tie. Oh, never mind, that was David Silva, not Bernardo Silva.
That's even better.
Jesus Christ.
That's so much
Um,
better.
yeah, and it's crazy. Yeah, that's all I could say. So Yunchu once in the team of the year, and now he's worth 10 million, 12 million. It's crazy.
Just how the mighty have fallen, right, Harry
Yeah.
Maguire. Alrighty, we spent a lot of time at the bottom, spent a lot of time jumping on Leicester City, rightfully so. Let's kind of move up here. Let's talk about. We talk about a lot of Chelsea, rightfully so, because they're sitting in 12th right now. 9 points. Let's not forget about this though. Chelsea is 9 points out of a relegation spot at the moment. Where Tottenham, Liverpool, Manchester United, Newcastle United, just as everybody expected, Arsenal and Manchester City are the top 6 teams. But I want to talk specifically about Brighton. Brighton had this unbelievable start to the year. Graham Potter looked like the next Sir Alex Ferguson, basically. He gets the look after Tuchel gets fired. Does not go very well with Chelsea. Now he gets sacked, and Brighton sitting, well, not too far out of a potential spot for European football, but not as close as they did before. You were really high on Brighton, but right now, last 5 games, win, loss, win. So, what's going on with Brighton?
Oh, I don't think anything's really happening. I mean, they just defeated Wolves 6-1, and they lost to Forest 3-1. Like, some results haven't gone their way, but I think that's just they've had an impressive season so far, right? I don't think anything's wrong. I think they've got a really good manager and Zerbi. Zerbi. I haven't watched them too closely recently, but I just think they're in one of those slumps where it's like win loss, win loss, win loss. It's not like nothing's really wrong. It's just maybe a lot of matches, fatigue could be setting in, injuries. I haven't really looked at the way they've played, so it's hard to say with Brighton, but they've had a impressive season nonetheless, and they can still get Europe, right? Like they're 2 points back
Mm,
of fifth. 2 points back of sixth. So they can definitely cause some upsets here and there. They play Arsenal, they play Man City, and then some of the Newcastle, Southampton, Villa. Like I think they can probably get some big points here.
Yeah, but think about how big they were at the start of the season. They beat United in the start of the season. They had they went on an unbeaten run for a little bit to start the year. Then they slaughter Leicester 5-2, draw Liverpool 3-3. Like they had a really good start to the season, beat Chelsea. And then Potter leaves because he goes and takes the opportunity as he should, but then he gets sacked. Like
I
I don't
think
know. Maybe this is more of a less than a question about Brighton and more of a question about
I
Graham
think
Potter.
I think for Brighton the mission was to do better than last season, and so far they've done that. Last season they finished in ninth with 51 points. So
Right.
far this year they're in eighth with 52 points. So if they can get a few more points, potentially get seventh or sixth, mission accomplished. They did better than last year. You can only go up, and that's what they've done. So credit to them. I think they're right where they're supposed to be, and they definitely want more.
Fair. I guess where I'm trying to go is this is less of a question about Brighton and more of a question about Graham Potter.
Oh, okay.
Because then, but I 100% agree with you. I guess I do agree with what you're saying there about Brighton. But Potter's gone. I guess more the question is, did he make the right decision?
Financially, yes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
When a contract like that comes your way, it's hard to say no, and especially for a club like Chelsea. Like, think about it: your Graham Potter at the time, this fat contract comes your way, and you have an opportunity to, manage one of the most popular best teams in England on paper, you have a chance to, possibly manage in the Champions League in Europe, maybe push for a Premier League title with the, financial backing, and everything just did not go his way. The players, I think he just had trouble managing that kind of squad, some of the egos. Um, I think that's probably the case. Just some of those players were so popular in their head, and it's tough to manage superstars. And I think that's what really went wrong with Potter.
Did I tell you in Toronto when I was walking to the Toronto FC game, I saw Mudryk Chelsea kit?
I mean, if you're a Ukrainian and you're a Chelsea supporter,
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I thought the exact same thing, but I walked past him and I was like, nice, cool kid. But okay, enough ragging on Chelsea. Last thing.
I'll say one thing about Chelsea.
Okay.
I got a sneaking suspicion. Hot take about Chelsea. They finished 15th in the league.
Whoa! Oh my! Really? Oh.
To finish the season, Chelsea have Man City, Man United, and Newcastle. How many points do we see them taking out of those games? They can barely win a game as it is.
Man, maybe one against United. Maybe one against United if United is sleeping.
Chelsea haven't won a game since like March 11th in the Premier League.
That is horrendous.
Are my eyes deceiving me?
Chelsea's next game is also against Arsenal, by the way.
There you go. So I don't like they have Forest coming up, and that's theirs, and Bournemouth. You can get maybe 4 points out of that.
Forest is also fighting again for relegation too.
What is Chelsea fighting for? Conference League?
No, not even. They're not even close.
So
they are not even. They have 39 points. Liverpool is 56.
Don't be surprised if Chelsea finish 15th in the Premier League.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, last thing I want to talk about in the Premier League. Okay, before we talk about United, because we haven't talked about United, and then we'll move on. I know, but we have to talk about United, I guess. But last thing I want to mention, this is more of a quick quiz question for you. Name the most boring squad in the Premier League. Go.
The most boring squad in the Premier League?
Yes.
Ooh, am I?
You know who it is. There's one right answer.
Tottenham?
No, but
Liverpool?
No. You're thinking too big.
Chelsea.
Too big.
I've never been excited about Chelsea.
That's also fair. You're still thinking too big.
West Ham?
Still too big, but not a bad guess.
Most boring squad in the Premier League?
Yeah.
Fulham.
No.
Bournemouth.
No.
Wolves. Holy shit.
Yes, absolutely Wolves. Absolutely Wolves. Minus 21 in goal differential. They have 29 goals. 29 goals. Only two teams that have less are Everton, who's 19th, and Southampton, who is 20th. Grow up. Grow up. This team should be so much better. So much better. The squad that they have is objectively really good. Objectively really good. And they're just shit. Shit every year. Ruben Neves, unbelievable player. Semedo, great player. Johnny, I like Johnny. João Moutinho, baller. Daniel Podence, underrated baller. Mario Lemina, I kind of like him as well. Neto, great. Adama Traore is disappointing, but he is absolutely streets won't forget. Raul Jimenez has fallen off, but understandably, he had a horrendous injury. Hwang Hee-chan, electric. Mateus Cunha, very good player. Diego Costa is on this freaking team, man. This should be a much more exciting team to watch. and they're so boring.
I honestly forgot Diego Costa existed until he joined Wolves. I thought that guy
Dude, I
just disappeared from
know.
football and then life in general. You never heard about him, and then he comes back. I think he went to Brazil for a bit
I think you're right. I think you're
and
right. Yeah.
China.
China. Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao. 50 goals against as well. 50 goals against. This team, like Jose Sa is not a pushover goalkeeper either. But the thing is, too, like they still win matches. I mean, they've lost 17, so also not great. But they when they win matches, it's like 1-0. You're like, what? Why are we out here? What are we doing here? It's such frustrating ball to
Yeah.
watch because you want to see them. I don't know. Maybe it is the players. It could very well be the players, but it's so upsetting
Well,
because they should be better. 2-0 against Crystal Palace, 2-0 against Brentford, 1-0 against Chelsea. Like it's boring. 1-0 against Wolves. Like so boring, dude.
yeah, and then I mean they got 4 more Premier League matches left. They've got Villa, United, Everton, and Arsenal, and the team really kind of above them in the standings, I believe, is Chelsea and Bournemouth, and it really like don't be like that's why I'm not saying that's why I'm saying Chelsea may finish 15th is because of
Yeah.
so I don't know, it's tough, maybe 14th, but yeah, Wolves, nothing really stands out to me about them. Then not anymore. They used to be like a top 8, top 10 team. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When Nuno was there, absolutely. That was the thing. Nuno left, and they just haven't been able to catch that lightning in a bottle again. Almost
mhm.
relegated last year too. Like it's unfortunate. But you mentioned as well. Just I want to give a quick shout out too because not a lot of props given to Bournemouth coming into the season, but 13th is nice, so that's good for them. Okay.
um, I just want to mention one thing. I mentioned we mentioned Diego Costa and how he went to China.
Yeah.
Throwback to Oscar, who used to play for Chelsea, who generally just left for China and has stayed there ever since. He's still in China. He plays for Shanghai Port. He's been there from 27 to 2022, and I guess he wants to be a club legend. I mean, fair play. He made a lot of money, which is that's fine. That's cool, and maybe he was the type of player who just didn't want to be in the spotlight. Like he loved playing football. He played for the Brazilian national team, and I think the pressures of playing in the Premier League and in European football probably he didn't enjoy it. I think when you're an up and coming footballer, young footballer, you want that life. You want to be in the spotlight. You want to be a star. Then you kind of get a taste of it. And you're like, I don't like this too much. So I guess he saw China calling. He saw the paychecks. Like, this is good. I can make sure my family is well off for decades, and I will just play my game here. I like the game. I just don't like the spotlight.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats by club. He's played 203 matches for Chelsea. 13,111 minutes he played in 203 matches. For Shanghai Port in 179 matches
Yeah.
has played 15,629 minutes. So in less games he's played in more minutes than
And
Shanghai.
after the 2014 FIFA World Cup, he only played one more game for Brazil, and it was a friendly against France. I think so.
Huh.
No, that was the last time he scored for Brazil,
Oh,
but
gotcha.
that's still going back all the way to 2015. So
Good point. Okay, let's move on to because I know we want to talk about United, so let's talk about United. What's on your mind about United?
Um, interesting results this past week. They got a win against Villa and they drew Spurs, and unfortunately, we were really hoping they would pull a couple points off Spurs, but they drew. And um, I'm trying to think. Not
How
nothing.
about David De Gea? Talk about David De Gea.
Well, you seem to hate David De Gea, even though he has the most clean sheets in the Premier League.
Um, I think I said this in the chat, but I may not have finished it. Clean sheets is also a team stat, I think, as well.
Okay.
So I mean, they're also counted towards like players too. So I think that also has some validity to official stats, but I think at times United have been one of the better teams defensively when Varane and Lisandro Martinez have been healthy. Obviously, they're not right now, and we saw specifically that play with Harry Maguire. I think it was against Sevilla, where he was given the ball back from David De Gea, and it was a dumb ball to give back to him. He had no place to go. He was trapped, and he gives up the ball, and Sevilla go and score. And
Yeah.
it, it's bad decisions. He can't move the ball. He makes some clutch saves. Obviously, he's an unbelievable goalkeeper. He is has been a world class goalkeeper. I don't think the game has gone past him, but I don't think that being the starting goalkeeper for Man United is his job next season for Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they will go out and find a new keeper. It's tough to say because I don't think Man United's biggest problem is in net right now. I think
No.
if you look at, I mean, goal differential, they have 49 goals.
Yeah.
Arsenal 78, Man City have 84. They need to score more, and they need a striker who can really work well with Rashford and Anthony, I think, and Sancho scoring here and there, but they truly need another striker. And I think they need to find a striker that suits the team, not just for the sake of getting a striker, just for the sake of spending money and finding one. They need to find the right player who plays well with the system and Ten Hag. And it's interesting about Ten Hag. I remember after the. So do you know the FIFA YouTuber streamer AA9 Skills?
Yeah, that name rings a bell. Yeah.
He's gone viral a lot on TikTok for his football takes, and then recently on Twitter he said Ten Hag, he's not him. Even though it's funny is that A9 Skills a couple months ago said, "Oh, Ten Hag's the man for United. This guy's cooking. Man United are back." It's incredible how people can just live in the moment. They
Yeah.
see things going wrong and they think this guy's not it, right? Like Lucas always brought it up on the 90th minute when we first started. So it's so easy to be a prisoner of the moment in football, right? It's crazy.
Hmm.
People's opinions can change in a minute.
I completely agree. No, I think that that's very valid. That's a very good point. Um, I can also just to play devil's advocate, but again, I agree with what you're saying. I think I think it's 100% accurate. I think just again to play devil's advocate, when opinions change, there's also a chance, and there should be naturally the space to give it that opinions should be able to change when different facts are presented as well, or facts are changed as well, or as the facts move, because numbers change as games move on. You're only good as your last performance, right? So things are always changing, especially in the sports world. So your opinion can change very quick because facts can change very quickly in the sports world. And I think
Mm-hmm.
opinions should change as facts change. That just shows that you're thinking on your own. But I do agree with what you're saying 100%. They need to score. I think they're doing the right steps to secure those steps to get the scoring. It seems like they're going after Harry Kane, who I think is the ideal player for United to go after. If not, Osimhen, I think is good too. There are other options, but I agree with you as well that scoring is the top priority. But that doesn't mean that you forget about the other things that you also need to work on in the future as well. They need some help in the midfield too. There sometimes they have not looked great coming back. Sometimes you look at their midfield and go, "Where is their midfield?" Right? There's opportunities for them to grow and get better in the midfield. They have also young players that they can integrate into their lineup. But a thing to also think about is that David De Gea is getting older. He's not getting any younger. None of
Mm-hmm.
them are. So it's just a matter of time. You can't expect him to be healthy for a full season, too. So Get somebody else in there who you're trying to get. Jack Butland isn't getting any games for a reason, and Dean Henderson isn't going to see a pitch anywhere near Manchester United for a very long time after the shit that he said just over the last couple of years. Oh, I don't want coach to see me in practice because maybe he'll want to keep me. Shut up. But United has an issue with goalkeeping, and
Mm-hmm.
the goalkeeping, just like the Oilers did after last year with Mike Smith, and he's
Yeah.
getting older. The Oilers didn't have much of a system. They need to create that system again, right? That's what needs to happen with Man United.
Yeah, I think they. I mentioned this on the kickback crossover with Caroline. Well, presented by Betway. Um, yeah, it's just how the modern keeper is. Also, you have to be able to be, able to work with the ball at your feet. And unfortunately, De Gea has not really been very good at that.
Yeah,
And I think it's been getting worse as he's gotten older. So he's a club legend. There's no doubt about that. He's
yeah.
stuck by the club for so long through some of this dark period that they've been through now. Ten Hog's here, and um, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Man United?
No, Man United. No, let's move on, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You had a tweet that you wanted to bring up
Yeah.
because, yeah, and I think this is a really good debate. But yeah, what's this debate that you want to talk about here?
So this Twitter user who's pretty big on football Twitter put out this little thing that caused a little bit of a firestorm. Let me see if I can find it. I saw it just earlier here. Can I find it? I must have
This
liked
guy.
it. I had it.
Preparation.
Ah, all right. Here,
Preparation.
here it is. So he posted this. Who is the one player that was glorified in the past that will flop in the modern game? Mod says, I'll start. Ryan Giggs. I think
Ooh.
he's thinking of Ryan Giggs in, like, the late 2000s where he's in his 30s, kind of going to his 40s. Ryan Giggs in the 90s, early 2000s had blistering pace, which I think would really suit today's game, considering how fast paced it is. And I think he would also adapt to the modern game with his speed, which would be just so much fun to watch. You look at someone like Mane and Salah, who had so much speed, and the way Jurgen Klopp was really able to get the most of that. So I don't think Ryan Giggs would be a flop. Maybe sure in his later years, but that's football. But if we're talking like Ryan Giggs in his prime, I think he'd be fine in the modern game.
I saw this stat. I think I did see that tweet. I didn't see what the first part read, but I did see the Ryan Giggs part, and I saw somebody respond, go, Ryan Giggs, domestic trophies 35, Chelsea's domestic trophies 34.
Huh. Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I agree with you. I think Ryan Giggs is. I think that's a bad call there.
Some people are saying David Beckham. The thing
Okay,
is, a lot.
okay. Listen, Moz. I I have been a long detractor of voicing this opinion, but I strongly agree with that opinion.
Are you saying David Beckham is overrated or was overrated?
David Beckham is an unbelievable footballer, but would you not think that David Beckham would be a little bit
Man,
James Madison ish?
kind of. I think you might be onto something. Like,
Oh, I can hear the opinions now. Oh, you're talking. No, I don't know, man. Again.
he'd be a good midfielder.
Yeah.
He's I, what one person said might be a hot take, but Beckham as a right wing, his career stats are very subpar. Okay, but I mean, we can't really bring in stats. Stats isn't a great indication of how good a player is. You could have poor stats and still be a fantastic footballer, right? Um,
Yeah.
It's just let me choose. I'm trying to think here.
Okay,
Beckham sounds like it could be it.
listen. 2001, 2002, most amount of goals he ever had in a single season, 11. 97, 98, the second most amount of goals, which was tied with 2000, 2001 with 9. He had a lot of assists. He had a good amount of assists, which was what he was. He was a ball distributor. 15 assists in 99, 2000, 13 in 97, 98. In 2011 in the MLS, he had 13, but his top 4 or 5 is with Man United. He was very good at moving the ball, and he great free kick, great at taking free kicks, a magician with the ball. But again, I think and not necessarily one dimensional, but maybe the argument can be made that the team around him made him better.
I think the player that would flop in the modern game would be probably Michael Owen.
Oh, that's a good call too. I'm very much behind that too. He's kind of. Do I kind of compare him to? No, maybe not. Kinda, no. I can 100% I get behind that. Yeah, that's kind of sad, but I can get behind that. Are we getting
actually? I mean, no, I was gonna say Miroslav Klose, but he also he was just very good at World Cups.
He was very good. I like Miroslav Klose.
Like Michael Owen won the Ballon d'Or. To be fair, in 2001, he scored 18 goals in the Premier League in 98, 99. And then 97, 98, he scored 18 goals. So honestly, Michael Owen would be just, a good striker at any Premier League club.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. It's
like Jamie Vardy.
Look at Erling Haaland, who's scoring 30 goals already.
Yeah.
Maybe it's hard for me to say. Is it because I haven't seen and watched any Michael Owen? But
I think we're getting a little English bias. You know who I think was kind of underrated on the flip side? Peter Crouch.
Yeah.
I always loved Peter Crouch.
Freddie Youngberg?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, he's a Celtic player. Maybe better for Liam, but...
Oh, yeah, Liam's at my neck right now. But I don't give a shit.
I think honestly, I know we're going back to... There's a lot of Man United players who really were able to excel because of Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson was the type of manager who can just get the best out of a lot of players. He demanded a lot out of his players, and I think his players love playing for him. But I think maybe Vidic.
Oh, why?
I don't know if Vidic.
No. I can't. I am holding this microphone like Leonardo DiCaprio.
And that's no disrespect to Vidic. I think Vidic.
Wolf of Wall Street. I need you to understand how wrong you are with what you just said.
I think Vidic was perfect for his era.
You are. I'm sorry. I have to say this. You are meat riding Jamie Carragher right now. So hard.
He's a guy who wouldn't do well in the modern era.
100%, but he wasn't a fucking star.
Yes, he was. He was one of the best players that Liverpool had in the back.
Okay, fair enough. He was very good.
But maybe I'm just reading off the one tweet I found about Vidic. It's because a lot of defenders would not work in a modern high line. That does kind of make sense. A lot of those players, they were more used to the slower tempo of football back then. They didn't need a speed. I think today, as a modern defender, you need pace.
Slower tempo?
100%.
Have you watched the Premier League in 2002, 2004?
Yeah, it was very slow. It's not as high pace as today, and today you need pace, unfortunately. That's how it is. It's like any
Maybe
sport.
maybe the fast breaks or
Yeah,
the breakouts are quicker.
Vidic was
I'd
a great,
agree.
one-on-one tackling, hard-nosed defender. Like the question is, would even Roy Keane be good in this modern era? I don't think so.
Yes, he would. He would
Hmm.
100% be.
God, it's a lot of United players that we're calling out here, eh?
Yes. Oh,
What about
100%.
the Italians? Like
I know. I was looking through
Gattuso
the Italian team too, but there's no one really that I
and
was thinking
Iniesta,
of.
Xavi, they would do fine. Torres would do fine. Like a lot of the
The
um
Spain or the Spanish kids are fine too.
I
Yeah.
think I think Gattuso is the one Italian that kind of sticks out to
No,
me. Like I
you,
don't know.
you know who it would be, and it would
Mm,
just be unfair judgment. It would 100% be Ronaldinho. Because it would 100% be Ronaldinho only because everybody would say he's so flashy. He's doing blah, 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 blah. As soon as he would have a little bit of a slide, people go, oh, look. Oh, no, no flish flash, blah, blah, blah. He's taking a bath. Like, it's so he would be just like Neymar or Anthony or something like that. He would just get so many
hmm.
unnecessary comments because of how flashy he was. Although like the numbers again would back it up and he would be very good. Just so many people would be like, "Oh, just play the game." I think it
That's
would be
interesting.
Ronaldinho. Hmm.
Would modern would Ronaldinho excel in the modern game? That's interesting question because you look at players like
Hmm.
Neymar, you look at Anthony, and they do all these tricks, and they get criticized for them. But to be fair, I mean Neymar is probably the best when it comes to that Brazilian flair. Anthony is coming up, but
Hmm.
it's hard to really cement that in the Premier League. Even Cristiano Ronaldo when he was doing his step overs, he got criticized for that in the Premier League.
Hmm.
It's interesting. It's funny how Ronaldinho and do these tricks against Premier League clubs, and the Premier League clubs would lose.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, and again, that's not me saying that I think Ronaldinho is overrated by any means. He was one of my favorite players growing up. I loved
uh,
Ronaldinho. I just think that just think about how Twitter, and I think it boils down to Twitter. All of it comes down to Twitter and how people would talk about Twitter or
mhm.
talk about him on Twitter, and that would just resonate with everybody. So I think it would have to be not have to be, but it would be Ronaldinho. I think he could get tossed in there too.
All right, Brett. I think we've been on this topic for a little while now.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, man. Like, cause you would think they're glorified for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Um,
No,
but
100%.
there's one thing I wanted to bring up, and it is United related again. I'm sorry, but this was very interesting actually. Let me see if I can find it. I think I had it. Oh, here it is. Ipswich. I'm
Hips.
butchering. Have scored the most goals out of any team in England's top four leagues.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who their forward coach is?
I do, but I will let you announce it for the anticipation.
Former Man United backup keeper Lee Grant.
Isn't that insane? That's so weird.
Yep.
Like, because I remember how much, and this isn't necessarily a conspiracy theory. This is just a theory maybe that I've been thinking about. But I wonder how much when he wasn't playing so much at the end of his career, just being paid to hold up the substitution board. I wonder how much of his contract was being paid just to basically learn to be a coach or being on the staff. Because
Mm-hmm.
you look at Michael Keane right now, too,
Yeah.
right?
And Michael Carrick is doing well as
Michael
well.
Carrick.
Yeah,
Michael
no, a lot of
Keane.
former United guys, but
Who the hell's Michael Keane? Michael Carrick. Yes,
Michael
that's
Keane's a former defender. He's still playing.
yeah. Yeah, yes, there we go. That's what I'm talking.
Jesus.
Oh, it's late. I've been moving.
Yeah.
Yes, Michael Carrick. That's exactly who I'm talking about. Think about when he came and managed United after Ollie moved too. Like
Mm-hmm.
they have been moving up in the standings as well. Uh, Interesting to kind of see potentially the coaching breeding ground that United might be pumping out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's move on to Sunday League. Our Sunday League
Yes.
is about to get fired up here next week, Tuesday. It's 6:30 for us. Start. The Hampton Oilers play probably at 8 o'clock, Brett. So yeah, it'll be interesting how we can manage that. I'm gonna try and go
Yeah,
to the game, our game. I want to play. I want to get some
I do
fitness
too.
in. Uh, Yesterday and today, I went to our football pitch to just try to do some cardio, play with the ball a bit. Holy shit, I'm out of shape. 3 sprints towards like the halfway pitch, half of the pitch. Not even like will fucking gas me. It's ridiculous.
Oh, dude, I have a bike where I'm at now, so I'm
Oh,
gonna be
good.
hitting the bike here. But no, I did the same thing, taking the ball out. I my goal this year is I want to get better at long distance shots because that's where I'm gonna be mostly this year at CDM. So I want to be able to get a ball, handle it,
However,
and take a shot. But the ball that I went out with wasn't fully pumped, so I was just sending shots over the net.
so
So I need a ball that's pumped up here.
Greg
Yeah.
is our owner of the Sunday League team, and I saw him just before this podcast. I was handing him a card, and he's like, "Yeah, well, at least you'll be on the bench."
What what did that mean?
Well, that means there's a better player than me at right back. Thank God. No, honestly, our coach Pope, our coach's name is Pope, and he's fired up for the season. He really thinks we have a
Mhm.
really good squad on like if everyone's together. Like he sent me a text this afternoon.
He's really pumped, eh?
He's like,
This is the
let me
most
see. I'm trying to figure it out here.
anticlimactic he's like
I just,
ever.
I just saw that he said, I am erect at this team.
Holy fuck.
So he is amped. Like he thinks we can literally beat the top teams and go on a. It's just yeah.
I'm pumped, dude. I
Yeah,
genuinely am pumped. And
he's really pumped to get tires on this team, and he thinks he can really get a lot of it out of it.
we
So
have, dude, and you weren't there on Sunday. There is a possibility that Maddie gets on this team
yeah,
soon.
I heard.
Dude, imagine all of us are on the team. Luke is on the team. Greg is coaching. I don't know. I think Greg is coaching. I don't know if he's playing. But if our goalkeeper comes, we're going to have a good goalkeeper. If he doesn't, my buddy is going to be showing up and playing for us too. He's a good goalkeeper who's been playing for a long time. We have a lot of really good players who are showing up. Don't we have like a Div 1 striker showing up too?
Yeah,
We're going to be bumping, dude. If we really get clicking here, I do think too that we can really prove some teams wrong here. I think we can potentially get promoted. My buddy, did you hear what so I added two of my buddies are on the team this year. So
yeah.
I got a couple buddies to join. My one buddy, did you hear what he said to Pope when they were talking
No,
about joining? He messages Pope and he goes, if I play or when we play, I will get us promoted. Not I can get us promoted. He said I will get us promoted. So
that's
we're going up, baby.
he's gonna demand a lot of some of these players. I think. Oh God.
I'm so pumped, dude. I really am pumped. I haven't played, so I need to get my cardio in really bad. I haven't played ball
But
hockey in like a month. Indoor ended like 2 months ago, so it's I really need to get my cardio going. But I can't wait for this season.
yeah, I'm excited to have a team where there's more than 10 guys on a pitch.
Dude, yeah,
I
that's
hope to have a
well,
bench.
exactly.
We're gonna have a bench. Like that was our biggest problem last year. But anything else you want to mention, Brett?
I do want to mention that if again, this is Sunday League pundits. We want to talk about your Sunday leagues as well. So always remember that you can hit us up on any of our social medias with some of your Sunday League stories. We want to talk about your stories. We want to talk about your crazy goals, crazy referees, crazy opponents, crazy parents at games. We want to talk about all that type of stuff because it's the beautiful game. And what would it be without the shared experience? So make sure you message us, DM us on any of our social medias, and we will try and get to them and we will read them on the podcast here.
Thank you for tuning into Sunday League Pundits presented by Betway. See you next
See?
week. See?